Okay, good morning, everyone. Just to let everyone know, this session is being recorded. At the end, we probably able to share this session also to who was not able to join. My name is Anderson. I'm the channel SC for the region, and some of you have already had some sessions with us in the past. For today's session, we're gonna be learning a little bit more about Hawkeye solution, right? It's not hands-on training, but I would like to invite you if you like to have some time with the hands-on training on the Hawkeye itself. Just let me know. I can arrange all the labs so you can access this remotely. You don't need to deploy the solution. You don't need to bring up all this the servers and points. You make everything and get it ready to use, so you can just enjoy the configuration, create some tests, etc. For that, just let me know. Send me an email, and I can schedule some day and allow the access remotely to my Hawkeye. Okay. So on the today's agenda, go over a very small introduction about Keysight, why we should use active monitoring, which is the Hawkeye solution, and why it makes sense more to name this as a solution for visibility. Together with the other elements that we have, like network packet brokers, for instance. After this first part, we do a break and we conclude with demonstration of the product. In this case, we're going to be running some configurations, some tests, and the customizations in the solution, so you can see how easy it is to manage it and configure the tests and get reports over that. Okay, not to tell all the story about Ixia and the Keysight, but just highlight this that probably already know that Ixia was acquired by Keysight in 2017, but it started really to change the name in the middle of the last year. So we start to push our channels, our partners, to be used to listing the name Keysight instead of Ixia, because we are trying to make an all unique brand to every products that we have. But the main products that we have for visibility test gear and etc. It also keeps some old names like Vision and etc. Right? So probably in the market, the Keysight logo is not well known because it's not so popular in this segment. They are very Keysight is a very big company for test instruments, but if you focus on layer one, for instance, so they particular was not in the same market that Ixia used to be. So even if the customer doesn't know the Keysight name, just make sure that they know that we are still the same company, but now bigger, right? And of course, there's a long history behind Keysight, where Keysight came from, right? So that's a good start to tell. Okay, so why we do need visibility? We should start here because we have such integration with the Hawkeye solution as well for visibility. And of course, visibility is the way we can get information from your network, and it's really critical if you would like to have a good monitoring, a good analysis, and be more creating solutions, resolving problems and troubleshooting, right? So as many visibility you have in your network, it's better, right? So that's why you should always count with the tools to do different kinds of analysis, to monitor different kinds of KPIs and applications in your network. But as you start adding more and more applications, more tools to your network, it can become um, very challenging to still keeping viewing and listening every single spot in your network. So it probably will be starting to create blind spots in your network. And of course, if there is a blind spot in your network, you probably are losing valued data that must be analyzed. And the problem with that is that if you cannot see what you are what you have in your network, actually you cannot protect, you cannot step ahead from a problem, and you probably will be spend more and more time solving problems in your network, right? So when we talk about active monitoring, uh, it's something different, right? Because the active monitoring, it's not actually gathering data from your network. It's not receiving pack. It's not receiving net flow, whenever. The thing with the active monitoring is that we are uh, executing tests, emulating as the user was supposed to be in your network, executing this traffic, this load, right? So this is why we call this as active monitoring. And why the active monitoring is that important in the market. Yeah, we have seen many companies that used to have the packet monitoring, the passive monitoring, the out of band monitoring, migrating to the active monitoring as well, because it is such very important and interesting, because it can bring you um, uh, much more step ahead from your initial problem, right? So why is that important? Because let's say we talk about new technologies, we have a much more coverage of the companies doing Wi-Fi hotspots. We have the BioD policy, which is not quite new, but it's becoming very, very popular since the companies start to be more flexible about rules. Uh, so as many devices we have in our network, it probably will bring more problems related to performance, right? So one thing is that you can guarantee the performance of your computer, your server, because it's owned by you, and you know how to best set this gear. But when we talk about other owned devices, it's a little bit challenging, right? Um, Also, we can see that SD1 is becoming very popular since it's more accessible to the companies. It's cheaper, right? Instead of acquire a new MPLS link, which is kind of expensive for some companies. It's much more easy to install a SD1 device in each of your offices and create this private network using the internet links, right? And this U1 device is really interesting because it can at least it says that it can guarantee the quality of your connections, your communication between the sites, right? So as you see, the new technology, it's not to talk here about other things, but the new technology is bringing as many devices, as many different products, cameras, um, so many things that IoT, for instance, it's allowing in different kind of device products to interact with your network. So it's very challenging to keep an eye on every single spot in your network. It's really difficult uh, to keep testing, to keep monitoring every single device, since it's more, let's say, more spread of your region, right? So it become a little bit difficult. So, sorry. So what is the challenge that the IT team engineering is facing when these become more and more common in the company? The one of the biggest challenge is to keep a network performance, a good network performance. So how do you measure this? How do you make sure that your network is good enough uh, before someone start complaining about issues, right? So it's really challenging when the network is kind of big like that, right? The end user experience is also a big point here, right? Because you are not only uh, going to guarantee and monitor your servers or your uh, desktop, but also all the devices from your company. It doesn't mean that they need to be inside your company. It doesn't mean that they need to be in your Wi-Fi in your network. They can be in the street. They can be uh, working from home. And the complexity of your day-by-day business is such kind of different now, right? So how can you guarantee the end user experience from your employees or from your customers in this scenario? And also we have the edge computing, uh, which what that security, right? Which it's well, it's not part of security for Hawkeye, but it's something that is becoming really challenging also, since you have to guarantee the security even in your edge computing, your edge network. It means that small remote offices that are used to connect to your data center now, they are processing locally to have more let's say performance, to have more instantaneous answer from some job they are executing, right? And of course the troubleshooting, uh, as it is um, some of the main points when you are going to face this kind of issues, because everyone you start to open tickets, you start to claim issues, they are facing some kind of fault, some kind of bad performance. So which tool you should be using to troubleshoot, right? So how do you decide that? How you can find the best solution that will help you uh, to find this problem, to isolate this issue, to isolate this problem, right? If there is a performance problem, where is the point, where is the central point which is generating this bad quality signal, bad quality performance in your network? How do you isolate that to get a triage, something to start troubleshooting, right? And of course, why we should why Keysight? Why you should work with Keysight in a customer, right? So the Keysight, these numbers are are from Ixia actually, but it's a very interesting number. Both companies, Keysight and Ixia, used to be a global company, so we are present around the globe. We have thousands of customers worldwide. Um, from the Ixia, actually, you have more than 20 years of innovation. It means that we have been investing in technology, in testing, monitoring for more than 20 years. We are the number one for test solutions, which is some kind of it's basically where the Hawkeye solution also born in the test side, in the test vertical, and also we are on the the number one in the market for visibility, right? So one of the most important brands when the solution is visibility product. But the difference between Keysight and the competition, and it's really interesting to highlight to your customers that the Keysight is the only in the market that can offer test visibility and security products, right? So we can offer all these verticals. And the good point here is that our visibility solutions is integrated with tests, with security. So we have a cross talk about this solution. So if you like to offer some visibility to your customer in the upsell with the test solution, you can offer products that will be integrating with the installed base that they have for visibility and take advantage of having the both verticals in the network as well for security and etc. Right? So we are the only that can offer this in the integrated. And of course, with all this gear, we are basically presenting the customer since the network design, right? Since from the scratch, passing through the POCs, test stress, deployment validations, right? And moving forward with visibility for monitoring and security, guaranteeing operation of your security gear, security tools, right? And yet working with different kinds of technology, so you can test, validate, monitor, and check the activity as active monitoring all this data from big data, cloud, IoT. So you have integration with different kinds of products. Okay, so let's start with the elements, the Hawkeye elements, right? So the Hawkeye, it's a software-based solution. Of course, we have hardware as well, but the main point is that if the customer would like to have something that's completely software, it's more flexible, etc., it's completely possible with Hawkeye. It's not required to have any hardware. We mainly will have the Hawkeye server, which OVA or KVM image that can be deployed, right? So there's some small prerequisites to deploy that, but it's not that big, right? Aside that, we have the software endpoints that can be deployed in, well, anywhere. So iOS, Android, Linux, Windows machine. We do have also some customized endpoints that we use to deploy in different CPEs for ISPs, for instance. We have customized endpoints that was deployed in Coolstone routers to have the agent already integrating access points. So the software, the endpoint, it's very flexible and it's very tiny, it's very light, right? And the endpoint is responsible to execute the tests, right? So one endpoint can be talking to other endpoint and so on, right? So we have the software endpoint, which is completely, uh, uh, let's say, free, right? So you can download this, you can install this anywhere. What you need basically is the license to register this endpoint to the Hawkeye server, right? We also have the hardware endpoints. So the mainly tree and the principal tree endpoints. We have the Vision Add E1S, right? It's really similar to a packet broker. If you know already the visibility solution, you realize that it's really uh, similar, and it's proposal because this Vision Add E1S is basically packet broker, software based, so you can capture packets using this endpoint. You can filter, you can start a communication remotely using GRE tunnels, like a NPB that we have in our release, right? The difference is that it's completely manageable by the Hawkeye solution. So it also acts as an endpoint, right? So you can also execute tests using the edge solution, the E1S. We also have the Raspberry Pi. It's a very small device. It's based on Raspberry Pi. And the good point from this device is that it can also test Wi-Fi, so it can inspect your zone, where is the device located, to check if there is channel overlapping, if there is any thing that you can improve in your Wi-Fi signal in the zone. It also does some tests to verify the connectivity with the Wi-Fi SSID. So you can schedule some tests to run over this specific SSID, for instance. And finally, we have here the IX probe, which is more focused to monitor regions where you let's say you do not have uh, a way to add an IP address, so it has a very good technology to install a inline like a tap, but it will not require a dedicated IP address that you need to set. It can use some technology to adopt the IP address from the location where is it installed, and it's more oriented to use Wi-Fi, for instance, ISPs, right? So you would like to install this in the customer, but the customer doesn't allow you to use his network, so you can add this before his net router, so before the all-net device from the customer, actually. So with that, you can monitor the customer link, you can execute some tests between endpoints and etc. Uh, well, we have here some matrix with the different endpoints that we have. As you know, all of them can monitor. I mean, they can execute any kind of test in your network. Some of them will be limited. For instance, the Xerify will be um, one of the devices that is possible to measure your Wi-Fi signal, for instance, but also testing the Wi-Fi connection, time, etc. Um, on the other hand, we also have the UNS, which aside the active monitoring, actually, they also can have some package capture features, filtering, GRE tunneling, and etc. We do also have the Docker solution in the cloud tab, so you can use the Docker actually to install it anywhere. Actually, the cloud tab, the cloud endpoint actually is only supported to Hawkeye Express. I believe it you have not changed it yet because that's why it's not present here. So the Hawkeye Express can be only used, I believe, in America, in US, right? So it's not yet available here. So that's why we do not have the endpoint cloud here. So anyway, you can use still the Docker option. So if you have a cloud, you can install the Docker in the cloud as well and use as a regular endpoint, okay, to test your cloud infrastructure. Okay, so what about the UNS? So it does support the aggregation, replication features, which is the most basic features that we have on UNS. We do also support a few other advanced features like deduplication, which is quite interesting, and the GRE tunneling. So with that, let's say that we have a customer with different offices, remote offices, using the internet link, right? So you can deploy the UNS to keep you watching, to keep you watching locally and executing tests between these remote offices, right? So once you have any kind of alert, some kind of emergency, remotely the administrator can start a copy of this traffic and send it to a centralized tool or anything to start the troubleshoot. So it can be very interesting in order for troubleshooting the remote offices. So you don't need to get someone and send to the remote offices just to do a copy of the traffic and etc. We do also have the flow monitoring for generation. So even if you are not sending the packets, we can also generate net flow and send to another tool for analysis to keep historical data. So it's really interesting also to have. In the synthetic monitoring, as mentioned, you can use the edge to execute tests as well, right? And the good point here, it can also stress a little bit your network, right? You can go up to 10 gigabit of traffic generation using the UNS box. So the solution will provide you 6 1 giga ports, which is fixed, and 4 optical ports to use with the transceiver, right? Supporting 10 giga ports. We have the serial port, we have all the access to manage that, and the UNS it also carries some kind of small Hawkeye server inside of the box, right? So if the customer is not going to deploy a full Hawkeye solution, but they would like to use the UNS capabilities like a packet capture, filtering, and etc., which is really common since this box is quite cheap. So if the customer cannot go for a E40 or NPB or E100 NPB, they can select, for instance, the U1S, which is cheaper. It can work very well with a small load of traffic, and of course, it can be manageable, graphical manageable directly on the box. So you don't need to have a Hawkeye server hosted or deployed in somewhere to manage this box. So we have the IX probe. As I mentioned, it's an inline endpoint. So the objective here is not to deploy another server, another endpoint. Some customer have limited resources and they cannot deploy another server, or even they are not, let's say, confident in deploying another tool in such zones from the network, right? So they prefer to not deploy anything in such parts of the network due to security um, rules and etc. So in this case, we can use the IX probe, which will be installed inline, and you'll not require any kind of IP to manager, right? So it can be using IP adoption technology. It's really small. It's fast to install. So in a case of ISP, let's say you have already the IX probe pre-configured to connect to your Hawkeye server, right? So the field technician will go to the customer side, will deploy this inline, it's plug and play in the on-site, is start to learn the IP from the link, it will automatically connect to the Hawkeye server. So it's not, there's no field configuration if you have already deployed it with the Hawkeye server to connect before. Okay. And then we have the X-Pi. Uh, it's a very small device. I have one here that I can use for demonstration as well. It's also very easy to deploy. We have some commands that can be, let's say, can be automated during your deploy. So you don't need to be going different places to edit IP address to set the Hawkeye service. So you just issue some commands and they start asking you the information you need to apply. So yeah, it's really easy to deploy. It supports the both networks, 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. So you can test both different bands in your network. As I mentioned, it has some kind of a test that is very specific to the Wi-Fi. So once you acquire a Xerpa, it comes already with this small dongle, which is the Wi-Fi antenna, and it's already included. Okay, so you can start using this to test your Wi-Fi. Aside the Wi-Fi tests, it acts like a regular endpoint as well, so it can be capable to test network KPIs. You can test voice video quality in the real applications test as well, like YouTube, Dropbox, or Office 365, whatever. Um, and we have also the software endpoints, which can be installed in your cell phone. It can be really interesting if you have field engineers, employees that actually in the streets, right? So if they need to connect to your services over VPN or not, you can have this endpoint installed in on their devices to also verify the quality of experience of this specific user to your services. And to conclude, we have the Hawkeye. It's a single pane of glass, uh, very easy, very easy to use, right? Indeed, we have recently a very nice update, so it makes even easier to manage, to configure. So you will probably you'll see this on the demonstration, but it's really interesting. Dashboard, they're very customizable and etc. Okay, so it's a virtual appliance, so you can deploy this in VMware scenario or KVM supported architecture. Okay, so let's talk about the architecture. Uh, So basically what you need to have is the Hawkeye server, which is a centralized point. You can even install an endpoint inside this Hawkeye server to be also an endpoint for tests, right? And you have to spread across your floor or across your zone, your city or region that you need to monitor your endpoints. Okay, so the conversation between the Hawkeye server and the endpoint is primarily right. So they will be verifying if the endpoint is up, it's healthy, it's running, right? All the configurations for tests, like I would like to test network, KPI, and voice, is manageable by the Hawkeye server, which you created this test profile and upload this configuration to the endpoint. And once the endpoint receives this configuration, it starts to run to execute the test, right? And the conversation can be set, can be defined between one endpoint to another. So you can create a simple test path, right? So it's a node-to-node test, or even you can create some more complex tests with a mesh topology, which one endpoint can be talking with more than two or three or five endpoints at the same time. So you can create a very customized mesh topology to create this test. Let's say you have your data center and you like to be talking to every endpoint around you. So you can create some kind of E-star topology to create this path. So it's very flexible. Okay. And also we have the real services tests. Uh, what are these real service tests? Of course, we are not the owner of the Office 365, for instance, but we can go to the door of the Office 365 to measure the quality and the performance between our path and the internet to reach to the Office 365 door, right? So we can measure the DNS resolution time, you can measure network KPIs, you can measure the download time from the Office page, and etc. Right. So these are very critical KPIs that you can use to test. We can even do this kind of test to YouTube, Facebook, Google, whenever. So uh, it's really interesting to do this test because it can validate if the service is up or not, if there is any kind of performance issues, if the issue is on the Office 365 actually, or if you have any problem with your DNS or any problem of from your internet linking, etc. Right? So very interesting, especially nowadays that most of the services is going to be on cloud. And of course, for the UNS deployment architecture, I will not spend so much time on this, but it's basically the same scenario we have with a regular packet broker. So you can have the tabs copying traffic to the E1S, or you can have the span session sending this traffic to E1S. And from the E1S, you can start aggregating, filtering, doing some advanced features like trimming, header stripping, dedupe, and GRE tunneling, right? Okay, so before we move, let me just take some water. Okay, so before we move forward, I saw here a question related to the XRE 2000 hardware. The reason it's not present here, it's because it's not being let's say it's getting in of sale soon, right? It's not end of support. We still support the XR 2000. It can be used yet to connect it to the Hawkeye and everything. There's no any kind of compatibility issue or anything like that. We just decided to stop the XR 2000 since we have the other smaller endpoints that can be more flexible. So it is getting in the off sale. I don't remember exactly the date, but I can confirm later. But that's it, right? So even the XRE 2000 VM, we have already created a new architecture, XR VM, which is using the same architecture of the Hawkeye server for security purposes. So it was also updated. Uh, and if it works also the XR 2000 VM, it keeps working fine. It's completely compatible. It's just for security purposes that it was updated to this new image that you can download from the Hawkeye server directly, for instance, right? But I will let you know the date of the end of sales, and I send you by mail. Okay, so the Hawkeye server have so many prerequisites. As you know, the Hawkeye server usually come with the bundles of the features. So let's say the smaller license bundle, you have the Hawkeye server already. You have, I believe, two license seats. What is exactly the user seat? Is the administrator for the solution, right? So we do license for concurrent user seats using the Hawkeye server. It doesn't mean that you cannot have more users registered, but to log in at the same time, it will check the license that you have. Okay. So we have the license for the number of endpoints that you have registered to the Hawkeye server. So you can also increment it later. I believe the first initial license starts with E25 or something like that, 2025. But the good point here is that, as you see, we have some prerequisites to deploy that. So if you are going to deploy the Hawkeye in a bigger scenario, bigger than that is demonstrated here, please reach to your SE, because it's really important to sizing how many endpoints you're going to be deploying, how many concurrent tasks you'll be executing at the same time. So it's really important. It's really critical to have ISC supporting you on that. Okay, as it's a software-based solution, we need to be uh, really we need to have good attention on that, right? We don't want to deploy the Hawkeye on under power server and have these problems. Okay, and for support hardware, we do support the VMware. As you can see here, we have the ISXi supported, and the KVM supported, which also you supported the OpenStack, of course, which is KVM based. I will not move over the deployment itself, but it's very straightforward to deploy that. Once you have start deploying that, it will ask you to agree with the licensing agreement and the user agreement. And then once you log in to the first page, you'll be asked to issue to register new license to the server. Okay, the IP address from the Hawkeye, it's by default get by DHCP. Okay, so once you deploy that, just log into the Hawkeye server, and you can see which IP address is it using, and access that directly from the web. Okay, to change the IP address of the Hawkeye server is also possible. You can do that by the console or command line. Okay. Okay, so the E1S setup, it's quite different because it's like NPB, right? So it acts like a server with a software image inside this, which will be running the Hawkeye solution, the part of the NPB. So the access to that box initially have to be over serial port. And once you have logged to that and define IP address management, you can start using the web interface. Okay, so the initial setup, you log in over a serial port, define a new IP address, and start accessing this from the web access. From the Vision E1S, you have some particular configurations. As you can see, you have embedded firewall to secure the box. And probably you need to change some configurations here to allow you to use some features like for active monitoring tests and etc. So if you are intended to use the E1S as a endpoint, you need to change some configurations here to allow the active monitoring tests. once you have the UNS deployed, you can see that this is the interface of the UNS. Basically, you can see the Hawkeye server with the two different UNS here, right? So you can integrate the UNS inside a Hawkeye server and deploy your UNS devices to be managed by the Hawkeye server remotely. Okay. And you'll see here that we have some statistics based on the services that is running on the UNS. So you have, for instance, on the first box, we have it all green. So it means that everything is up and running. Okay, so you have the UNS box. Actually, you have the NetStack features, which is running as well, and the AppStack feature is also running. Okay, on the second box, you can see that if there is any kind of issue or any kind of problem with your UNS, you can verify if it's a NetStack feature, AppStack, or even in the completely box is down. Okay. So we have the ports, the 10 gigaports that is basically for packet monitoring. But if you would like to use one of these ports to start active monitoring tests, I mean transforming this port in a endpoint port, right? So you need also to set this as active monitoring port. So to do that, you need to open your UNS. You go to the ports, okay, and you have to select the 10 gigaport that you would like to use as active monitoring. And let's say uh, deactivate this port from the net stack. Okay, so you have the 4 ports are here that it's and all the ports are enabled, but also the 14 gigaports. So you select one of these ports and deactivate this from the net stack. So removing this port that was previously allocated to use as net stack as an NPB, and the free getting this port free to be used as an active monitoring port. So if you are used to work with the Vision NPB lines, you're gonna see some kind different dashboard here. It's not the same dashboard that we have in the Vision, but the intention, the way we do the configuration, it's quite the same, right? So we have the filtering options. We can create a new filtering, give them a new name, description, anything that helps you to manage your solution. And then we start to create the filter criteria using statements like Wireshark usually do, right? So it's pretty common in many tools use this kind of statements. You have to type that. Unfortunately, there is no view for the same view of the Vision, but it's quite easy to set up in a configuration here, right? So you have also the same filtering syntax that you can use to create your filter criteria. And then once you apply this filtering, you define if you would like to pass the traffic based on this criteria or deny this traffic based on this criteria. The same thing as we do to the Vision series, okay? And after that, we can also apply some advanced features. As I mentioned, we have the GRE, stripping, MPLS stripping, VLAN stripping, and also the package streaming. Okay, why we do have these advanced features on the UNS? because the UNS was mainly focused to using the edge computing. The edge computing, it means that it can be not only remote offices, but also OT segments from the network, which is basically sending packets that is quite small. And in most of the cases, for performance metrics, you are not going to drill down to the payload of the packet. So in this case, you can simply remove the payload from this packet, right? So you would like to see only the performance statistics, metrics, KPIs, and not go over the payload of the packet itself. And then once you have created your filter, you have to apply the ports that you'll be using this filter. Okay, so you have to select inside of the filter, you have to select the ports that you'll be using. So you have to add the ingress port and the egress port to that filter. You can also edit it later, add more ports to the semi filter or whenever we move ports. But the option to add the ports is inside of the filter creation actually. Okay, so in the IX probe, um, there are three different modes that you can use with that, right? So you have the first one, which is the inline. It's wrong here. It's IA mode, which is inline adoption mode. Uh, and we have also the inline management mode and the out-of-band management mode, right? What is the difference between them? Um, the IP adoption will be waiting for some IP address that is connected directly to the IX probe to learn this IP address and start to use this IP address as an endpoint. Okay. The management mode, you can manually define IP address. It can be manually defined as a static or as a DHCP, for instance, right? In the out-of-band mode, you can set the ports to work as endpoint, a regular endpoint, instead let this as an inline solution. Okay, so you're gonna have two ports connected to your network to work as a out of band mode as an endpoint. So how does works the IP adoption mode? It basically will be sitting as inline. So as you can see, we have the internet, we have the modem from the ISP, and then after the modem, you can apply, you can deploy the IX probe, right? So before delivering the link to the router, you are basically adding a device there that will be completely inline, completely, let's say, transparent to the customer. So they don't need to manage this. It's completely transparent to them, right? So and then you have the router from the customer, which is basically owned by the customer itself. So sometimes you cannot cross this line if you like to monitor the link. You cannot cross this line, right? So by doing that, you place the IX probe inline and as a tap, as a regular tap, and it will stay in your link waiting for the IP adoption algorithm to work and apply a valid IP address to the interface A. Okay, so once we have this interface applied, of course, you have to make sure that this IP address is communicable with the Hawkeye server, right? So it have to be communication between them. Once it has learned the IP address, it will automatically connected to the Hawkeye server, and that shows up in the dashboard. From this time forward, you can start listening the statistics of this link, um, uh, uh, the traffic counters, packets, bytes, and also execute some tests. By this time, you can even execute some service turnups tests, right? So it will verify the network KPI costs, for instance, and after this test, you can generate a report to deliver it to the customer, right? So you just installed the service, you made all the assessments during the service turn up, and instantly you can give this report to the customer, which is really interesting. Okay. In the inline management, it's really similar to that. The difference is that you need to apply a private IP address, or let this as a DHCP. In this case, you have to deploy the IX probe after the router from the customer. Sometimes it can be acceptable by the customer, right? So if it's possible, it's also another option to work with. And then you can define a static IP address to this also if it's really interesting, right? So basically, all the features will be supported in the both times. There's no difference, and we work as design. And then we have the out of band probe. So in this case, we are not using the both frontal ports. We have to use one of them, right? And also behind of this small device, there is a manageable port, right? So what you have to do is basically connect the back port to your LAN network, and the front port to another location, or your one network, whenever. So it basically you'll be using two different ports at your network, creating some kind of loop, of course, and you can use this IX probe as a regular endpoint like XRPi, or a software endpoint connected to your network to execute some tests to start some traffic generation. Okay. Okay, so the features overview, as I mentioned, the Hawkeye server is a centralized dashboard, single pane of glass. It can be deployed anywhere, and basically to emulate packets, applications, communications for voice, video, your network between the agents, between the endpoints, and get the statistics from this emulated traffic to verify your performance. The good point here is that you don't need to have a user, a real user, generating this traffic and waiting for something to happen. Okay, you can have this before anything happens. Let's give you an example. Let's say that we have a store. The customer has a big store, and they do some kind of maintenance in the floor during the night, but something happened or something went really bad, that the connection from the internet or from your from the data center to this store was interrupted, or something went bad, and the performance fall, right? So in this case, there is no real use in the store. There is no customer. There is nobody in the store that will be facing this kind of issue to opening a ticket to you, right? And the next day, the store is opening, the customer is joining to the store to buy, and they cannot buy because the system is not working, right? There is no internet, there is no connection to the data center. So you are starting to lose money on that, right? And of course, you start to troubleshooting, but it's late. You are already facing a big issue in losing money. With the Hawkeye, the idea is to be some steps ahead from the problem, right? So if the problem is happening during the night and nobody is in the store to tell you that there is a problem, the Hawkeye endpoint will be the first one to tell, hey, something happening here. The quality is not good. Something have interrupted the communication, the link to the store, and you have to solve that. So you can start working on this troubleshoot even before the store open on the next day. So that's a very simple example of how to use Hawkeye and why is the active monitoring really important to the network, to the market nowadays. Okay, so talking about the features, uh, we have the network basic KPIs that can be tested, which brings you metrics like delay, loss, jitter. You can run tests using TCP or UDP, or even send some pings, ISMP. We also can verify your link capacity, your security capacity, right? So you can run some speed tests, for instance, using your link, and of course bring you statistics like cost, validation, performance, latency. So that's really interesting also. And one of the most used features is the voice video for virtual meetings, especially nowadays with all this situation that we are facing. Many companies are now migrating to virtual sessions, and many of these companies also facing problems with quality uh, because they were not, let's say, ready for that situation, right? So this become a very interesting solution, especially to monitor features like Microsoft Teams that we are using right now in Zoom, so you can see and check the quality for these real applications. Okay, and also for cloud applications, right? So we have now the Office 365, which become one of the most demanded opportunities. Many of the companies is now migrating to cloud. It includes also the Office suite, so um, PowerPoint, Excel, Word, Outlook is everything located in the cloud. Um, and if you have no access to that, you cannot work, right? So it's really critical to keep watching the quality to access these real applications. And finally, we have the path discovery. Um, that's a really interesting solution that helps you to uh, let's say, isolate and troubleshoot your internet links, especially if you have um, some man network with many remote offices. You can monitor the internet path between the main office and the remote office to make sure that the performance is quite good. You can get statistics based on which path is most used, if there is any kind of path that is losing packets from your communication. So you can also see that the statistics, the RTT. So very interesting metrics that you can use to isolate problems of your communication. Okay, so this is a basic use case, the service tune-up. You have used it. Of course, we're gonna show some statistics later on the demonstration, but it's only to illustrate that we can get these statistics in this report to deliver to the customer, to the end user, right after the service turn-up. And finally, the Hawkeye server can be set as a 24/7 solution. It means that it's not only for on-demand tests, so you can schedule your tests to verify your performance on time basis. And it's really common that our users take some screens from the NOC operation center to use it with the Hawkeye dashboard, because they can be watching this instantaneously every time that there's a new test, there's a new report available. It can shows you alerts if you have any kind of fault, if you have any kind of degradation in your network. So it's very useful also to deploy the Hawkeye in NOC departments. This is the screen from the path discovery, as I mentioned. So it will basically show you all the path, all the steps, hoops that you have crossed from your source to your destination. It shows you the IP address from the ASs. So even if you have if the AS have enabled the name let's say broadcast, you can see also the name of the AS here instead of the IP address, so you can identify which AS is, who is the owner. You can see some statistics if it is AS is losing packets, is generate some kind of latency to you, whatever, right? So it's really interesting for isolating problems. And well, that's it. Before we start the demo, I think this session might be short than we expected. Let me see if there is any question before we move to the session. Hold on. Okay, so no questions. Mohammed, it might be worth of doing a small break now, because after the demo, which is basically concluded. So I think
yes, can we have maybe 12 minutes so that we can come back by 2:30?
Yeah. Okay.
Can I ask a question before
Sure.
we are going to break?
Yeah.
I did not get the point of using Vision 1ES at the branch side. Actually, I did not get using out-of-band monitoring feature of the Vision Edge 1S, because customers have their monitoring tools installed at their data center. So why would we copy the traffic or filter the traffic, as we cannot send the traffic to the central device, because it makes the bandwidth higher, right, between branches and the headquarters.
Yeah. That's true. And of course, as I mentioned, the Vision E1S was mainly oriented, designed to monitor your edge network. It means that when we talk about edge network, it means that you are putting power resources for processing in your edge as well. So in the most case, you are not going to transport this traffic over your remote office to your DC, because you probably will have some tools that will do that on the edge computing as well, right? But the E1S can do that, but it's not mandatory to do that, right? You can, for instance, only receive net flow statistics, which is much smaller than the real packet, and get these statistics centralized in your data center, right? So the packet capture can be very interesting if you have any kind of a problem that you would like to solve. In that case, on demand basis, you can start a copy of the traffic to your central data center for troubleshooting, for instance. But you don't need to let this traffic running all the time, of course, consuming your internet link, your internet resources, because it's usually very small for this kind of setup, right? So you would like to save your link as well. So you just do that kind of procedure if it's really necessary, if it's really mandatory to troubleshooting, for instance.
So what I get is it's not main reason to use Vision H1S because of copying the traffic.
Yeah, well, the thing is,
Not
the
because
Vision,
of its MPB feature. It's
yeah, the reason, for instance, to have an UNS on the edge side of your network is to allow you to copy the traffic,
when it's necessary, right?
but it's not necessary, right? So let's say that you have the edge computing, you have the edge side of network, and you have any kind of problems that you need to go to this edge side to troubleshooting, or you need to allow some capture or anything like that. How do you transport this traffic to the centralized data center, for instance? So the edge will allow you to do that more easy, right? Because you can do all this configuration remotely. You can enable the capture to be encapsulated in a GRE tuner and send this on demand, right? And even if there is no packet capture, you can still receive packets on the Vision E1S, right? And generate the NetFlow KPIs to be always sent to your data center, because you would like to keep watching closely what's happening in your edge network. So the network KPIs at least have to be sent um, always, right? It's not generating too much traffic, but you have all the statistics, what is happening in your edge network, right? So you have all these integrated. So once you get any kind of alert based on these net flow KPIs that you are generating with Vision E1S, you can start a copy of the route data with the route traffic, or you can even start some filtering on the E1S and make sure that you are copying exactly the same pipes that you would like to see for troubleshooting, right? Because you can pre-filter this traffic before exporting this across your internet link.
Okay, all right. Thank you for the explanation.
Welcome. Okay, so Mohammed, back in 7 minutes, right?
All right. You want to take 10 minutes break?
Yeah. My VMs. I have my Hawkeye server, and also my endpoints, right? So this is the old X-Series 2000 VM. This one is the new version, the X-Series VM, right? I also have here X-Series Pi agent that we will be using for to execute some tests. But again, this lab setup, I can allow you to access, to interact with this directly. But because of the amount of people here, it might not be possible. So if you would like to get access to this lab to see how it works with the Xaripy, for instance, just let me know. We can schedule someday and create a user for you, and you can access this lab remotely, right? So no need for VPN or anything like that. I send you the public address, and you can access this directly. Okay. Once you have deployed the server and licensed it, we can simple deploy the endpoint. So I'm gonna use as an example this VM, right? These two XRE VMs, which is the endpoints, and we also will register these VMs to the Hawkeye server, so you can see how easy it is to connect it and set up. All right, so it's already up, running, and let's log into the Hawkeye server. Okay, so this is the main screen, the full one, right? So the full dashboard. Uh, we're gonna see this dashboard later. So let's first pass over the probes, right? So as you can see here, I have three different probes, or four different probes. One of them is the Xaripy, okay? And I would like to add a new probe here, which is these new ones that I have just started. So if I remember, they are set as a DHCP, so it's getting some private IP address here. So let me try to connect to it. Yeah, it's working. So the full user for the new XR VM is root and the key site, and there is. So you have the XR VM access. And from here, you can start some configuration. So even if you don't know how to edit interfaces, work with Linux, it's pretty easy to set up. So we can easily go to the command interface configure, and by doing that, it will start to ask you some questions. What kind of configuration you would like to use. So let's stay as many simple as possible. So IPv4 only. It will work. Ask if you would like to use the ET8 0 port as the full host. Yes. And well, the MTU size you can define also. I will let this as a default. And right here, I would like to change from DHCP to a static IP address. So second option, and I would like to use this IP address for my XRVM endpoint. Okay. So the full gateway, I will not change. Broadcast also, mask. Okay, so you have the DNS servers that is also get automatically. And of course, if you like to change and add any other the DNS or change the priority order of your DNS, you can also do that. So let's let this as a default, right? It's automatically. The order if you like to change of your DNS. So let's say that I would like to have my main router as the full route. Okay, so there you go. I can change the order, and that's it. I will not change anymore. here, and it is probably starting with the new IP address. So let's start a new session. With the new IP address.
Hi, Anderson. This is Ramzi. I'm not sure the slides are moving, or I know some slide is a demo now, but I don't see a change.
I'm sharing my screen. Are you seeing my screen?
We're seeing only probes.
So the screen, it's on the page probes under setting. And this has been like this since you started the demo.
Okay, so you cannot see my put interface.
No. Oh. So maybe you're not sharing the main desktop. You may be sharing just the,
It was sharing, but let me stop in the restart the share screen. Sorry for that.
Right.
And thank you for advising me. Let me try again. Screen one. Okay, so you can see my
yes. Now I can see
Hawkeye dashboard.
Yeah.
Let's see if you can see the put screen as well. So now you can see the put screen. Yes. Oh, okay, great. Thank you. All right, so no problem. We're gonna repeat this configuration with the second XR VM. I apologize for that. So I'm gonna start the new put session with the new IP address that I have configured, and it's a root, right? Key site. And there you go. You have the new session with the new IP address. Okay, so let's now change the let's change the host name of this XRVM, right? So it's by default the host name that it's XRVM, but we can customize that. So let's say I would like to have this as host name. This is the command, right? Change host name, and right after we can add the host name that we like to use. So let's add something like XRE VM. I think it's better. Okay, so just do that. You must reboot before two actions take effect. So we reboot that. While it's starting, let's set up the new IP address to the second XR VM. So if I remind the IP address is that one, I believe same. Okay, it keeps the same. The full user and password key site, and there you go. So you're gonna use the same procedure as before to change the IP address. So interface configure, okay, and it will start to prompt you some questions. Same configuration. Yes. No. And now we're gonna change to static IP address. Okay. So for this one, I would like to use this IP address. Right. I will add the default gateway, broadcast, and mask. Note that there's the full DNS address, and I would like to change the primary for be my router. Okay, so now I have my router as primary, and there you go. So it will restart the VM with the new IP address, and here we have my old one. Put key site, and there you go. I have my new host name set. Okay. So now we have my IP address updated, my host name updated, and I would like to register this XR VM to my Hawkeye server. So what you have to do is basically probe configure command. Okay, so it's this simple command, and add the IP address of my Hawkeye server. In this case, my IP address is right here, right? So I have to add this IP address and make sure that it's reachable by your Xserver VM, right? So otherwise it will not connect to the Hawkeye server. And there you go. Probe configure. Sorry. Probe configure. The probe name, right? I have already my probe name here. You let as the full, and then the IP address of the Hawkeye server. Sorry, it was wrong way. Also have added the IP address. It will request you if you have any valid certificates, right? In this case, we're going to be using the full one. We are not using valid certificates for access, the web access. It will be trying to reach to the port 443. So that's why it asks for that. And there you go. Let as a default, and after some time it should be updating in my probe list. Okay, so let's do the same procedure with the new VM. A new session. And close that one. Okay, let's set the host name. And so let's refresh here, and then we can now see that our Xserver VM A is trying to connect it to my Hawkeye server. It's already registered, but it's still negotiating the connection with the Hawkeye server. And let's see how is my Xserver VM B. Okay, so now we're gonna connect this Xserver VM also to my Hawkeye server. So probe configure. It will ask for a host name. I will let as default and my Hawkeye server IP address. We'll let as default. Don't need a valid certificate. And then we try to refresh here. And there you go. We have the both Xserver VMs already connected to my Hawkeye server. It takes a while to update. It probably is downloading new versions and update automatically. And then once it has concluded, it shows up as green, which means available for executing new tests. Okay. Okay, so let's get back to my main dashboard. As you know, I had already 4 probes for 4 endpoints, and I have already installed 2 new probes. That is down because it's probably updating the software version to this new Hawkeye. And once it gets available, it will move to app probes. Okay, from this main dashboard, we can see the tested passed results, right? So every single test that we are doing, it will be registered as a passed or as a failed test. Okay, so I can set this to check the pass day or the past 12 hours, and whenever. I can also apply some custom timeline, okay? And also there is a good thing that we need to be aware is about the errors. What means the errors? It's different from failure. The errors means that you have probably some communication issue between endpoints, right? So if you try to execute some test in a port that it's not opened, there is some firewall that is blocking that is restricting this access. It usually shows up to you as a error. It does mean there is a problem of communication between you and your endpoint, right? Because you can see that, you can manage that, but you cannot execute some tests, and these tests might be some restriction between the endpoint A to endpoint B, for instance. So it's something that we need to highlight. If there is any blocking, you need to open that to allow the traffic. And of course, if you are testing that traffic through this endpoint, it's supposed to be working, right? So if there is any restriction, you're gonna see this kind of errors. Also, we have the metric key outliers. The metric key outliers, it's basically a setting that you allow the Hawkeye server to ignore if there is any threshold failure, right? So let's say if from the whole day, 99% of the traffic was okay, but you got 1% of failure, 1% of errors. So it might be expected, right, during the whole day. So you don't need to be receiving alerts or thresholds if it's expected to have at least one error during this day, right? So these are the outliers. You can set this to ignore and reduce your false positives during the monitoring. Okay, so there you go. We have now the probes already up and running, right? And on the other part here, we have the timeline that we can select to expand it, to zoom in and see more granular the timing that you have been running the test, right? And after that, we have the probe list, the probe side. So we have the probes that have been testing during this time, right? So the new two probes is not showing here because they are not executing any kind of test. So you're gonna create some tests after, and it should be starting to appear here. And the other right side, you can see the test types that we are using in this case. So you see that we have a network KPI. Sometimes we got some errors here, some failures in threshold. You can see that we have the small green bar with a small portion of red. It means that some test has failed or I have issued any error. And we have the Wi-Fi connector, which seems to be not so good, right? So you see that basically 50% of the test is getting failure. So I need to review my Wi-Fi setup, right? From these tests, I can drill down to see the results of this, right? So I can simple click on that probe, and it automatically will filter this probe to see exactly the one that I have clicked. And then we can expand this probe results from the last time, right? So the test records that we have here, okay? So there's so many drill downs. I can clear this filtering, right? And now I can see all the probes that I have available, okay? Moving back to the main dashboard, as you can see on the top, I have some options. So we have the options to see only the outliers. I can see also only the paths. I mean, the paths is the source to destination tests, like I have been doing here from Madrid to Valencia, Paris to Valencia. So I can see the path actually that is generating some kind of issues. In this case of the Madrid to Office 365, we got some errors in the last period, right? And also we can check only the Wi-Fi inspect test. What is this dashboard going to show you is the spectrum of your signal, right? So you can see all the SSIDs that is broadcasting in your zone, where is the XRPi located. You can see all these SSIDs with the frequency, channel, and level, which is quite interesting because by doing this inspect, you can verify if there is any overlapping channel to the channel that you are using, and you might want to change if there is any kind of issue, right? So you can start today and everything is good, but the next day your neighbor just set up a new access point that is causing some noise to your zone, to your access point. So you might be able to see that and change that as needed, right? And you can see the level, the channels for the both levels for 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. And the level for the sum of the SSIDs that we have here, right? If there is more XRPi in your setup, you can list all these and change between them to see every single location Wi-Fi inspection. Okay. We also have the maps view, which is really interesting because it's based on Google Maps. So if you have some bigger architecture and you would like to add the endpoints regional across your country, your city, it's completely possible. So you can set this map to automatically focus on the right part of the map that you are placing the endpoint, and you can manually add the location of this endpoint to the district, to the community that it's located. Okay. It's not configured here. I can show you how to configure it later, but let me finish with this final Coolstone dashboard. This is a really interesting dashboard that it's completely customizable. So you can define which kind of widgets you would like to see in this dashboard. Like I like to use this map in this size, and also I can add the other informations like what is the probe status from the last minute. As you see, there is only 4 probes because only 4 probes is executing tests. There is no 6 probes here, so I don't need to see all the probes if it's not executing any tests, right? We have here also some graphics based on my Wi-Fi tests. Remember that in the last couple of hours, my Wi-Fi was not quite good, right? So it's getting some very bad performance, really associating time to the connection, right? So we can see it later by doing some drill down over the tests, okay? And of course, we have also top 10. It's configurable. I can even add more. I can top 20, top 50. And I can select here which kind of top list I would like to see. In this case, I have added the WRF path. So you see that from all the paths that I have on my network right now, the WRF path is from Bucharest probe to Madrid. So basically, this connection from Bucharest to Madrid is not giving me good results. Actually, it's quite good, right? 95%. But what you can do here is to easily identify and isolate which kind of path it's getting worse performance in your network. So you can see it instantaneously, right? And the last test that we had, all green, all good. So it's all working from the last test that we have. The last, I believe, 10 tests as well. Okay, so you can also add more to this list. And the good thing is, all this dashboard is completely, let's say, customizable, right? You can set up this dashboard as you desire, right? So let's try to create a new custom map. So what I have to do is basically go to Edit Dashboards. I have here my custom dashboard already. Okay, it's active. And I would like to create a new custom dashboard. So let's name this Hawkeye training demo. I can add some description if needed, and the probes that I would like to use in this dashboard. Okay, so I select the probes that I would like to use during the test, or during the dashboard creation. I can set this to use as default or not. Okay, so let's add this as default, but you can change that during the dashboard view. I can select very specific test types. So if I would like to see all kind of tests, that is as default. But if I would like to create some, let's say, very specific dashboard to only see, for instance, let's say, speed test or um, uh, DNS resolution time, response time. So I can even create some very specific dashboards to filter this kind of test to shows up. Okay. And then the permissions, as you can see, we have the option to show this dashboard only for me. So it will be synced with my account only. I can let this to show us without any authentication. And that is really interesting because you can see this dashboard without using user seat license, right? So you can create a nice dashboard and let this to open view in anywhere without assigning a license to that. So let's say you have a NOC operation center. So you can let this to be used in the big screen, and it will not be consuming any license from you. Or I can let this to show to a group. So let's say a group of administrators or any other kind of group that I can create right here. Okay, so let us show this without any authentication, so we can test it later. And finally, I can select some real services to show as well. So I would like to add only Office 365 and see what it can give to us. Okay. Create. Okay, so sorry, need to add the widget. So let's start with the map widget. Okay, it's very nice to have. As you can see, the widget by default will come with this size, but you can change the size of this map widget, okay? So you can change the position, right? So as you can see, we have 4 columns here that you can use. So it means that you can use the size by 2 or by 3 or by 4. And also expand the size to be even large in vertical side also. So let's do something like that. I would like to use my map this side now. And let's see the latest events that we have. And top worst. Okay, that's fine. So I have 3 widgets here, right? I have just resized all of them, and then I can start editing this widget. Okay, so you see that there is a red icon here, so it means that it's not yet complete. You have to edit this before conclude the dashboard creation. So in this case, I can select if I would like to use a Google map, or even if I can use a logical map and I can upload an image here. So let's say if you are trying to monitor a Wi-Fi signal in a big floor, in a big store, you can upload the plant design of this big floor here and position the Hawkeye, the Raspberry Pi antennas over the map to illustrate where is it exactly located, right? So let's use the Google Map, and by here I can set some configuration. So I would like to see the path representation as well. I don't want to see these clustering probes, so it will be grouping probes. Lab labels, let us open, so it's enabled, and I can change also the color of the probe. But I like more this dark one. It's more elegant. Okay. And for the test passed, I have here some definitions. It's configurable, right? So it's not blocked. It's blocked here, but you can change that in the configuration of the Hawkeye system. Okay. So I'm gonna save that, and there you go. So I have my map widget already set. It's done. Okay. My latest event now. So let's edit this, and I can select the kind of events that I would like to highlight here. So let's highlight the top last failed tests. And here, as I mentioned, by default, top 10, it can go over, it can go up to 100 top list, right? So let's use it as 20. So the top 20 last failed events. Okay. Save it, and there you go. Now my top worst widget. So I can also select my top worst. So it can be my probes, worst probes, or top path or rough path. So let's add this top worst probe, and let this top 10. I don't have so many probes here. Okay, and save. Okay, so all done. I have my 3 widgets. I have my agents, my offset also, offset 365, and save, create, and go. And there you go. So I have my latest failed list here, and I have my top worst probes. Okay, so you see that the probes actually, it's not well designed here. That's because you have to manually position the small icon in the map. So to do that, we can go to edit dashboard again. I can edit exactly the dashboard I was using, or I can delete it and move back to the widget. And right here, I can position my icons where I would like to see. If there is any question related to which probe actually is it, I can just click on that. I have here my name, and I can identify which probe is it, right? So let's say this Bucharest probe. It's located in Romania. I can just click on that, and there you go. It's easy, right? Let's identify this one. This is the new one. So let's say this is in Dubai. I believe it is Dubai. There you go. Okay, so that one, let's say this is Porto. Let's see if we over here. Okay. This is Paris probe. So just click Paris, Valencia. And finally, we have here the Office 365, right? So, well, actually, there is no location for that. It's a cloud, so I can let this in anywhere that I would like to see the status of this communication, right? So now we're gonna add the last one, Madrid, and there you go. All good. We just zoom in and allocate this in a way we can see better all the probes and save. Move back to the dashboard, and there you go. So you now see the access to the Office 365 is being tested from the Madrid probe. But you can also test this using other probes as well. So it's not a big deal, okay? So from here, you can see that we had 11 tests that was passed and 3 of them was failed, okay? And if we click on go to results, it will automatically drill down. Oh, it's not in, it's not going. No. This one go. Okay, sorry. Let's try different. Let's click on offset 36 on Mandrake probe. Let me zoom in it. Okay, there you go. So you have the Mandrake probe. And from Mandrake probe, I can add some filters to that. So it's basically showing me all the tests that was running. So I can say that I would like to see only test type and select the Office 365. Okay, so now I can see all the tests that was done to Office 365, and as you see, the last 3 was giving me some errors, right? So if I would like to see what kind of errors I can get here, just click on the view, and it will pop up you all the statistics based on this specific test. So you see that my RTT max value as being reached in the very bad, because it's more than the double of my threshold. Okay, so I have some other statistics here, but you see that we have already get the error here. What is happening that is giving me this kind of issue? The RTT is very high. I have other statistics like DNS resolution, so I can see all the applications that I have used to test. So login Microsoft, Outlook, Teams, OneNote, so all the DNS here. We have also informations like geolocation, remote port access, and other stuff that's really interesting to have. But this test was failed, right? So I was not able to access the Office 365 during this time because my round trip time was quite high. Okay, so it was giving me a lot of delay. If you would like to see others, just keep you looking. So in this case, was not the RTT, but my latency. So you know the latency is also something that can interfere with your day-by-day business. something to look about your internet link speed, or if there is anything processing your network that is consuming your bandwidth. Let's take a look on that to see if there is any other issue. It's also latency, right? So I probably have some problem with my internet speed that I can figure out in the start troubleshooting. Okay. So if I would like to see all the results from all probes, I can just click on clear filters, and there you go. I have all the probes here. I have all the results, if it's positive or negative. Okay. But let's take a look on the status. I would like to see the errors, right? So I can see now all the errors and start to drill down and troubleshoot over here. So let's take a look on the Wi-Fi XRPi statistics, right? So it's failing a lot. We saw that it's almost 50% of failure. So if we click on that, in this case, it was unable to associate with the access point. So probably some problem with coverage. It's not being able to associate with the SSID. Let's see if it's the same error. Okay, so you got some delay here. Also, max delay variation. Yeah, probably some coverage. So maybe some walls that I have. Maybe it's better to add a new access point close to the location, because it's giving me some delays and possible to associate with the SSIDs, right? So timeout again. Yeah, some problem with the coverage of this Wi-Fi. So it can be a start of troubleshooting. Okay. All right, so if you have noticed it, we have just changed it from dashboard to the results, right? So it's another option that we have to see all the reports, all the results here. And from here, we can even create a new report, for instance, right? So we're gonna move to that, create a report. I can add some name based on what I look for. So test results list, and just click on test report. And let's save this as a CSV. Is the option that is allowing to me. It takes some while to create the report, but once it have concluded the on-demand report, you see that it starts to ring the bell here, right on the up corner, right? So you can just click on that, report generated, and open that. And from here, you can download the report, the test result list. So it's a CSV file. It shows me all the information related to that view, right? So it's basically generating a report on this window, this interface that I'm in, right? So I can do the same thing for the tests, for instance. If I would like to see a report based on this specific test, I can just open that, go to detail view, and right here, I can name it test report 01 and create a new report. So now that time, you can see that I can generate this report as a HTML or PDF or CSV, right? So let's create some PDF. It takes a while. Once it's concluded, it should be ringing the bell. There you go. So I can just click on that. I have my reports right here created and the link to download. So let's open that and see how it looks like. There you go. So we have the reports. We have all the information related to the endpoint itself. So the location, the name, which kind of model was tested. It's a node-to-node. Each kind of test was executed. In this case, a network KPI, which kind of best effort setting or DSCP setting. So in this case, best effort, and all the results with the value and the thresholds that was set. Okay, also the graphics and etc. So it's the report generation that it's on demand. Okay, so it basically you can generate a report from basically any view that you have in your dashboard. Okay. All right. So just give me just a minute. Have some water, and we move back here. 1 minute. Okay, back to that, sorry. Let's move back to my dashboard. Okay. Okay, so we have just viewed the results. We have explored some statistics from the test. And let's see about the thresholds. So to see the thresholds, actually, we need to create some tests, right? So let's go to the tests option right here, right? The test button. You see that I have all my tests as scheduled as a basic time, right? So it's running over the time in every 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 15 minutes. You can see right here the interval. But I can also create on-demand tests. So if you are looking to do some very specific tests that to generate some report or troubleshooting or something like that, you don't need to create this in an interval basis, right? So you just run this once and that's it, right? So let's create a new test. To do that, I can just click on Add button, and it pops up the different kind of tests that I would like to use, right? So I can select this as a node-to-node test, as a mesh test, which is a more complicated and the complex conversation. So nodes conversation between them in a very different kind of topology. And also real services test, which it means that we can run a path discovery, Office 365 application, or some access to cloud applications and etc. Right. So you have the three kinds of test type. So let's do some real servers. Right. I would like to use my new XR VM. So to do that, I have to select my source probe, right? From in this case, I have deployed this both XRVM, and I'm going to be using the XRVM A. Okay, and from here I can select the kind of test. So the test type. So you would like to test an ISMP test, on Office 365 assessment, path discover, port scan, TCP ping. So there are several kind of tests here, right? Let's do a path discovery. I believe I haven't yet one created, so let's do a. So you can see also the statistic from this test. Okay, so path discovery. I have my source probe, and I have to add my destination server. So let's say I would like to test my path to key site website, right? It can be address, it can be IP address, whatever, right? The timeout, I have to schedule if there is a huge delay, and you have to stop the test to save resources or the threshold that you would like to add to that, right? So I would like to see this in as the full, okay? And the time period that I would like to test this. I would like to make this test every 5 minutes, okay? And as I mentioned, you can create a period to run this test. I can select, for instance, execute this test from today to next Monday, or even I can create something on demand, so I don't need to schedule that. So run this just once and then stop. Or I can let this as default, so it will be running. It will not stop really. You do not intercept this, right? So it will running forever. If we move to the advanced tab, we can apply the limits for the trace route count. So the limit of the hops that I would like to show. So by default it's 10. Let's add a little bit more. Let's say it's 20 trace routes that I can show in the number of the hops that can be showed as well. The kind of connection, if it's a UDP, TCP, or ICMP, I will let as a TCP, as it is a web page. And I can also select some DHCP settings here, right? Some call service. So I will let also as best effort. We don't have any kind of CLA contract here. And the IP protocol that I would like to use, also IPv4. I have not enabled the IPv6 on this probe. And finally, the thresholds. Well, in this case, there is not much metric to adjust here, right? So there is no option. We're gonna create another to see, but it basically will bring you statistics based on RTT, delay, and loss, right? So you don't need to use the threshold alert here, right? And create the test. The tests have been created, and automatically it moves to the queue list. Okay, so it's on the queue. As soon as possible, it will start to run. Now, let's add a second test for the other probe. So let's do some node-to-node test. So I would like to use my probe from Dubai. Where is that? Oh, it's not named. Okay, so XRV VM A to XRV VM B. Okay. I can now see that what kind of test I would like to test. So let's do some voice test. So voice directional, bidirectional from A to B, the traffic duration. So I can select the traffic duration. The smallest option is 5 seconds, but you can extend it up to 10 minutes of the conversation. And the frequency, I would like to use this as a 10-minute interval. I can add the time range to that. Moving to advanced, I can select which kind of voice codec I'm using in my network. So as you see, there's several different codecs. It's good also to make sure that your setup is working. So by doing some service turnup, so I have just deployed a new topology, I have new configuration for QoS in your suites and routers, and you would like to make sure that this configuration is operating good, right? So you can run this test to make sure all the setup is okay, as intention to work as a service turnup, but also you can schedule interval-based tests to make sure that it's not being degrading during the time, whenever, right? So I'm gonna use the most popular one, so G7, 11, and then 9, right? So it's the most popular one, and also Dhcp settings that I can select for my cost. Okay, so best effort and the thresholds. So right here, you see that the thresholds is basically disabled. You can select the thresholds to learn, how to learn, right? It means that it you have some time learning your network results and define it automatically based on artificial intelligence, which is the best and suitable threshold for you. So if you don't know exactly what are you expecting as threshold to your network, you can start with the auto learning, and after some time it will be established automatically, and the threshold will be automatically adjusted for you, right? And of course, if you would like to, let's say, refine that, change some threshold, you can always get into this test profile and change this threshold as your desire. Okay. So let's add this as auto learning, and also there is the outlier option here. Remember, the outlier is the option that you can set some margin to failures, to errors, to avoid you receiving false positive alerts, right? So you are expecting that 1% can be failed, and you do not want to see that kind of threshold in your dashboard or in your email, right? So you can do this also to automatically auto learning, but also you can change the parameters for that. So let's say I would like to see my interval for the whole day, and for the whole day I would expect that the failure you not go over 90%, right? So if it's going to it's reaching more than 1% of failure, probably I have some issue with my network, and I would like to see this kind of threshold, this alert in my dashboard or my email address. Okay, so it can be set manually, or you can enable the auto learning that will do this for you. All right. And finally, the alarms. The alarms can be set to be sent over the status, as you can see here, for failure, error, outlier, or status change. And you can notify this alert by email address. So if you have a server you would like to integrate with this, not only to receive alerts, but also to receive schedule reports, you can also use that. So you can just add the email address here for the alerts, or you can also send this over SNMP trap if you have any SNMP monitoring tool, right? Okay, so just start the test, and automatically it goes to my queue, and once it's available, it will start to execute the test, right? So let's take some time to this to finish, and we can see the results, right? With that, we can explore, for instance, our probes, right? You have already see that the probe actually, so have added that, but from here we can also change the names from the probe itself. So I can change my name for XRV VMB to be more standardized. I can set the final location to that. So I don't remember, the B is in port. If and save that. And that one is located, I believe, in Dubai, right? And now I have my locations that it's useful if you would like to filter your probes by location. If you have several probes in Dubai, for instance, here, and you would like to see only Dubai probes, you can use that as a filtering. But you can also define some other features like a name. You can reboot the probe right here, and so on. Okay, so moving back to my results, we can now filter by, so there is some kind of issue, probably because we do not have, okay, so that's because we do not have any kind of QoS enabled, so it might be some problem with the communication, right? And for the XRE VMA, we have used the path discovery test. So let's expand this. There you go. So we have run a test from our endpoint going to our key site web address. As you know, it will shows you all the paths. So it showed to me the IP address of the AS that is being used, or the router, the first router. So you have the DNS resolution name. We have also the location of this AS. So you see that it's located already in New York, United States, and it keep moving forward across United States. Okay, so you have here some redirectional redirect to back to the Spain, Madrid, right? So finally going to the Netherlands. So I have all the path here. The thing is, the first test is made, so I have just one path here, right? But once you have once you have more test executions with different hosts and etc., you should be able to see all the hosts that the communication tried to reach, and also if there is any change of key OS metrics during these AS communications, you can see also by here, right? So you have here DSCP 10, AF11, F11, F11. And then in this case, there is no QoS anymore. Any change will be highlighted in orange for the QoS, okay? And if there is any loss, you can see by here, I believe there is no loss yet, right? So Right here, you can see the frequency, 100% because it's the first test, and the loss from this AS. In this case, no loss was generated. That's good. But once you have a loss, it should be printing also right here. Okay. Okay, so in this case, I have the path discovery also set to the Facebook. So let's take a look on that. That's a huge trace route difference, right? In this case, we have several routes from my endpoint to reaching the Facebook AS. So in this case, you see that this last hop that is the 14 hop, it's already owned by Facebook, right? So by here, you can also highlight the QoS change. So there's a lot of change based on these different kinds of AS. Just pass the mouse over that. You can see the changes and the frequency that we had with each one of these AS. So let's try to see also the autonomous systems names. Many of them is not showing basically the AS, just one. So the last one from Facebook and this one from Congent Communications, right? So when it's available and it's public, you'll see the name of the AS. It will be showing right here as well. Okay, so this is the path discovery. You see the most taking path to the location. And then let's see if we can try some different tests to voice. So let's create a new one. Node to node. Let's see a traffic mix. In this case of traffic mix as a web-based, I can set the speed. It's like a speed test that I would like to use, right? The frequency time, let's add it as 5 minutes. And also the threshold. So right here you can see the all the thresholds that we can select. I can add this manually, or I can enable the auto learning process. Also, you enable the outlier, right? And start the video. Let's see if this one will be able to work here. Right now we have 4 different tests being executed. And this one in queer, right? Moving back to the dashboard. Right here, we can see that there is a big fail. It's because of the voice test that was not working. So if I'm trying to make any kind of call from Dubai to port, probably I will not be able to do that. I have some failure here, right? And I can jump directly to the test result, actually. Sorry. And I can see that there is an error right here, right? So probably some port communications is being blocked. Okay. Clear filter, moving back to the dashboard. let's create some reports also. I have not created yet. So right here I have 2 reports that I have created on demand. So it's just to download. But I can also create some scheduled reports, right, to be sent. So let's say that I would like to see my test from the today, right? I will create this as a scheduled time. I can select here the report type, right? Let's see the report detailed. Okay, metrics. The kind of metrics that I would like to generate to the report. I can select something more specific, like my Wi-Fi test or throughput, latency, whatever, right? I can add more metrics here, but in this case, let's create an all report, right? So let's create some name, Hawkeye training report. Let's create some area, display line frequency. I would like to create this every 24 hours. Generate this as a PDF and send this through my mail, right? I will not touch on the period, right? I would like to do this running forever. And right, just click on the schedule and there you go. So I'll see to have created the first report. I should be emailed with this report automatically, but also I can download this directly from the dashboard. Okay. So let's take a look on the results from the last test. So it's also getting some errors probably because I need to set up my network to allow the codec to pass the ports and everything. So unfortunately, I cannot test it right now, but you see how it works to enable the thresholds, the auto learning, and then customize the thresholds. If you go to the test list again, and you like to stop any kind of this test to not generate any more tests. So I can just click on that and pause the test, right? So I have this one paused. I will also pause this test, okay? So it is providing me some errors. So it doesn't make sense to keep this testing. I need to verify my network and see if it's okay before I can start it again. But I can also edit this test and change some of the configurations here. I can select a different kind of test, for instance, cost qualification. I can select different kinds of Dhcp settings and update the test. So it's all configurable. You can do that after you created the test, actually, the test profile, and also manage the thresholds, right? So if you feel that the auto learning is not giving you a good threshold line, you can manually edit this and change this threshold line according to your needs. Okay. All right. So, well, I believe it's it. Well, there's some other configuration more related to the management interface. So you can see the system settings. You can see the licensee when this license is available. Remember, the Hawkeye allows you to use perpetual license or subscription license, but you cannot coexist with the both license, right? So if you decide to work with a perpetual, you cannot add a subscription later on this same server, right? So they cannot coexist. You can set the preferences right here, so you can edit the alarms period, the SNMP traps. You can select the full view. Also, you can edit the email configurations for your SMTP to send the alerts. And there is a lot of other configurations, the port that is being used to communicate between nodes, between the server and the endpoints. It's also configurable right here. And of course, you can see, you can set also the logs level and change all this configuration. At the end, you can see also a user trail if you would like to see what kind of configuration each user is using when they are logging, what they are changing. So you can also track the user actions during the access to the dashboard, to the Hawkeye server, right? Right here, you can create the users, set groups, different groups, create users, and allow them to log in or not. That's it. I believe if there is any question, anything, please let me know. Just a reminder, if you would like to schedule some time to use this lab, just let me know, send me an email, and we can plan and schedule some date to you, make some hands-on and self-learning on this environment, right? Mohammed?
Thank you, Anderson. It's really been very, very good and very nice. Thank you, guys, for attending. As Anderson mentioned, please, if you need to schedule any time to access the lab, please reach out directly to Anderson or do let us know. So I'm not sure if you have any questions before we close down. I'm not seeing anything in the chat window currently.
Yeah, I cannot see anything else. So, well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for the timing. Hope you enjoyed the demonstration, and feel free to contact us anytime.
Thank you very much, guys, and hope to see you by the week after next in the cloud and ATIP session. Just for those who did not attend last year visibility training, next session actually needs that visibility training as a prerequisite. So if you did not attend it and you don't have the link for the recording, please reach out to us. It's very important that you at least attend that training or go through the visibility basic training through our partner portal so that you can get the best out of the upcoming session. I think it's going to be on the 23rd of February, the cloud and ATIP, because it's an advanced topic. Following that session, as planned also, by the following day, I think on the 24th, we will be having the POC best practices, which also has the visibility training as a prerequisite. All right, with that, if you don't have any more questions, we wish you good luck, good selling, stay safe, and see you by the week after next. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.